Let's talk about the commander component of EDH. A commander is one specific legendary creature that your deck is built around. Now, typically you can pick any legendary creature you'd like, but Magic have given us a few different ways of mixing and matching and making that idea a little bit more interesting. In 2016, they introduced the concept of partner, and what partner it was is a keyword that allowed you to have more than one creature with that keyword partner to be in the commander zone at the same time. This allowed you to mix and match these creatures to create interesting deck colors and different deck synergies. Wizards then in 2020 introduced the concept of companion. Companion is a legendary creature that can sit alongside your commander. These legendary creature companions introduce new rule sets for your deck. So for instance, Luris, in order for him to qualify as a companion, each permanent card in your starting deck had to have converted mana cost 2 or less. This also made it quite interesting in a way to build your deck and think about new strategies. Now, in 2022, we have the new concept of backgrounds being introduced in Baldur's Gate. And what are backgrounds? Well, backgrounds come alongside legendary creatures that are printed within the set. Now, these are all monocolored legendary creatures that will have the text choose a background on them. And from there, we can then pick from a selection of these backgrounds, which are enchantments that give special effects just like your companions would. You can cast them and then they affect the commander on which you've sort of selected. And this gives some nice diversity in the ways that we can build our decks once again. So very similar to partner and companion, backgrounds introduce this new concept. Now, you can have backgrounds in your 99. You can have these creatures that select backgrounds from your 99, but you can only have a creature that has select a background, and you can only have a background in your command zone if your creature has that text in it. Otherwise, you cannot just have, say, partners with a background and so on. So just keep that in mind as we get through these decks, because these decks will all introduce the concept of background and as an alternative to the commander. All right. The next deck is Mind Flayarrs. So this is pretty cool. I really love the horror creature types. I'm hoping that we see a bit of horrors in here. Let's crack this open. Alright, so we have Dimir Commander. Alright, booster, whole bunch of promotional stuff. All goes right back in the box. Let's look at these three things. Alright, so we have Captain Nathrod. Nagathrod. I don't know how to say that, but he is a legendary creature hard pirate. He's 3/6 and he costs 5 with 3 generic, 1 blue and 1 black. Horrors you control have menace. That's a really great sign that this deck is going to be full of horrors. Whenever a horror you control deals combat damage to a player, that player mills that many cards with a mill sub-theme, and at the beginning of your end step, choose target artifact or creature card in an opponent's graveyard that was put there from their library this turn, put it onto the battlefield under your control. Super, super cool. Alright, Captain Nathrod. We've already read through this. We have Zelek Sanity Freya. It's a mythic 2/3 for 3. As Hive Mind, whenever a player mills one or more creature cards, you create a 1/1 black horror creature token. Pay 1 and tap this creature, and you can have a player mill 3 cards, and you can choose a background. And the background that comes with this deck is Haunted One. It's a 3-mannered legendary enchantment background. Commander creatures you own have, whenever this creature becomes tapped, it and other creatures you control that share a creature type with it each get +2/+0 and have Undying till the end of turn. This becomes really, really powerful, I think, because you can sort of manipulate the board with those tap effects to sort of negate some of the different board wipes that are existent in the format. Right, pretty interesting package. Let's dive into the actual deck. All right, in terms of land package, there are 38 lands in this deck, and you can see large complement of basics. These basics all have some flavor text to them. It's not the first time they've done it, but really cool that they have that. We have Temple of the False God, Tainted Isle, Rogue's Passage, sneaky, sneaky, something's going to come and get you. Port Carfell, Path of Ancestry, which tells me that there's going to be some sort of big theme around a creature type. Myriad Landscape, Dimir Aqueduct, Ash Barrens, Temple of Deceit, Sunken Hollow, River of Tears, Nephalia Drownyard, Exotic Orchard, Drownyard Temple, Darkwater Catacombs, Creeping Tar Pit, Choke Estuary, and One Tower with new art. So I think all of these Commander Legends, Commander decks all have the same sort of Command Tower printing, which is quite neat. Quite a nice complement of duels in here, but Dimir have quite a selection to go from. Nothing sort of caught me off guard here. Yeah, very interesting. I think Creeping Tar Pit is just an elemental. It would have been neat if it would be a horror too. But 38 lands. Next up, we have all the multicolored spells. So in this deck, there are 5 of them. We have Drown on the Lock, counter magic. We have Extract from Darkness, which is a mill card. We have Consuming Aberration with a new artwork. Really neat. Like, how scary is that? Kind of looks creepy. Like how it's like pupils super tiny and a giant eye. Memory Plunder, which is also really interesting. You can like nab something that was put there in an opponent's graveyard. And then we have Nemesis of Reason, which also helps with the milling sort of sub-theme. Alright, blue. The blue package in here is pretty neat. Some tricky things. Let's go through them quick. With Hull Breacher Horror, really neat reprint in EDH. This is a powerhouse in a few decks, so really, really cool. We have Aboleth Spawn. This is a new card. It has Flash as well. It's a 2/3 for 3. And it has Ward 2 and Probing Telepathy, which whenever a creature entering the battlefield under an opponent's control, it causes the triggered ability of that creature to trigger. You may copy that ability and choose new targets for the copy. So very interesting. I think I want to see this in play to understand like where it sort of sits in the power level. But yeah, tricky. Pact Affliction, Endless Evil, also quite an interesting card this. So it's an enchantment. Aura, you put it onto a creature and it makes a copy of that creature each upkeep. And when if that creature dies, you get to return this back to your hand. So you can do it again. So very neat. We have Grill Philosopher, also a new card. When it enters the battlefield and at the beginning of your upkeep, each horror you control gains activate abilities of target artifact an opponent controls until end of turn. You may spend blue mana as though mana of any color to activate those abilities. Once again, I don't know if this is going to have a whole bunch of utility, but very interesting. Psionic Ritual. We have Chasm Stalker, very cool horror, does a lot. If unchecked, it can win games. Forgotten Creation, Fractured Sanctity, Grazalax, Ithalid Scholar. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, return it to your own hand. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Very cool. Leyline of Anticipation, Mind Flayer, Overcharge Amalgam, Pull from Tomorrow, Reflections of Ligeria, Sludge Monster, Wolf Infiltrator. I've watched a lot of Stranger Things recently, and I think this could be like quite a cool like feel for those sort of decks where you get these like kind of horror type creatures you'd expect to find in the Upside Down. Right, so that's the blue. Black package here. We have Brain Stealer Dragon. This is a new card. Flying at the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of each opponent's library. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. If you cast a card this way, You may spend any mana of any color to cast it. Whenever non-land permanents an opponent owns enter the battlefield under your control, they lose life equal to its mana value. Very, very cool. If it was legendary, this might be quite a fun deck to actually build around, but alas. From the Catacombs, we have Ultrillion. I don't know how to say that, but this thing like makes loads of copies of itself. Kind of gets scary over a long period of time. So at the beginning of your end step, exile one target creature card from an opponent's graveyard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of this. And so these things get real big over a period of time, I think. We have Dorothy Horror, Duskmangler, Feed the Swarm. This is a great card. I'd put it into every single black deck or deck with black in it. Phyrexian Rager, Plague Spitter, Ravenous Chupacabra, Siphon Mind, Black Market, Crippling Fear, bit of a board wipe there, Current's Call, some nice removal, Dark Hatchling, Frost Harvester, Guilt Feeder, Hex, Haunted Horror, Ingaruk's Wake, Night Howler, and Nilith. This is 6 mana 4/4 as suspend, and then whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, if it's suspended, you may remove a time counter from it. So it's 7 suspend, but the amount of mill and that sort of shenanigans, this will come out quite quick. But for 4/4/4, 6 seems like a card that you might take out. Sewer Nemesis, Obstacle Horror, and then Woe Strider. This does a lot of work in many decks. I've sort of initially underestimated this card, and it's actually had me lose games because I just left it around thinking it wasn't going to do very much. But yeah, very, very cool card. All right, in terms of artifacts, we have Phyrexian Revoker, Psychosis Crawler, and Spellkite. These are fantastic horror cards, but also fantastic cards in general. Like all 3 of these cards, I'd run in this deck. I think these are all super good. We have Dimir Keyruin, Dimir Signet, Everflowing Chalice, a Herald's Horn, really nice card. Lightning Greaves, Mindcrank. Oh, so there's a really cool combo with Mindcrank. So they're kind of alluding to that sort of thing, which also fits kind of nicely in a mill deck anyways. Soul Ring, Talisman of Dominance, Thought Vessel, Arcane Signet with a new art, and then a Mind Stone with a new art. Really nice artifact package there. Really cool deck. I like this deck. I'm keen on going against somebody playing this deck. I think it's going to do work. There's a lot of interesting mill cards that already exist in Dimir, and I think these cards are going to be nice support for those decks too. We have Danehiren Invoker Adept. It is a legendary creature, human wizard with haste. You may activate abilities of other creatures you control if those creatures had haste. And whenever you activate an ability this turn, by spending 4 or more mana to activate it, copy that ability. And then Severus, Nightmare Speaker. Legendary creature, Snake Cleric Warlock. Sacrifice another creature or artifact. For each opponent you mill a card, then return that card from your graveyard to your hand unless that player pays 3 life. Choose a background. This would be really cool in this deck too. 2 pretty badass cards. Looks like this one doesn't have a foil treatment, but this one does. This one has. It's really hard to tell. I can only tell because of the words being foil. This one not. Great. So that is Mind Flayarrs. I think really cool. Nice color scheme. Mill, can't go wrong in Dimir. There's going to be lots of support for this deck. Super cool. A huge shout out to the Luck Shack for getting me these cards ahead of time. I know as we speak, they should all be available on the Luckshack's website. They should be preloading them already. I get these ahead of time, so before they're available for the general public here in South Africa. If you'd like to pick up any of the singles or one of the Precon decks, you can get that at the Luckshack. You can find a link in the description below. If you enjoy this content, hit subscribe and like the video. And if you have any comments, drop those below. I like reading through those, and it really shows that I'm heading in the right direction. So any of that sort of comment or any suggestions goes a long way. Thanks for watching. Until next time.